All right, Josh Haynes, thanks for being here today, man. We've been looking forward to this.
Glad to be here.
Yep.
Glad to be here. It's good to be here.
And thank you for coming in on a Sunday after an early morning at a church gig, after a late night gig at Haystack.
Oh, that's right. You guys did play Haystack.
Story of my life. What can I say?
No sleep.
So, so obviously when Jeff and I started this thing, you were one of the first names up. Like, we got to talk to Josh, you know, and
I'm sorry.
So we want to talk about your, I know the three main bands you're in: 6 Feet Thunder, of course, Area 51, and the Pulse, Pink Floyd tribute.
There are others.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, but I definitely want to cover all those. I want to cover your guitar tones.
All of them?
all of your guitar tones, yes. And that's about it, really. And then we're going to kick you out. No,
That's fine.
Well, those topics alone will take quite a while. All the bands he's in will take up probably an hour.
So let's start with Memphis. You are from here, right?
I am from Memphis, yes.
What part of Memphis did you grow up in?
Well, the first house I lived in, it was off of Getwell, Kimball area. And the house I basically started off in was my great-grandmother's house on it was on Patterson. And my mom, my aunt, and my dad lived there for a little bit, and started off playing plastic Disney guitars and beating on diaper pails because I wanted to be like my dad. He's a musician also. And his bands would rehearse in the living room. It was quite a eye-opening experience for a little kid,
right?
I was like, maybe I'll do that.
You just wanted to make noise like Dad.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a drummer at first, believe it or not. And I played drums for a minute.
Cool.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. What made you switch?
I kind of dabbled in. I started off playing drums, or I say playing drums, trying to play drums.
Right.
Then I played a little keyboards. My dad, he was kind of a multi-instrumentalist. He was in a band called Misbehaving where he played rhythm guitar, played keyboards, and he sang.
Okay.
And then after keyboards, I was 12 years old in 92, and I asked my mom and dad for a guitar for Christmas, and they got me this off-brand Flying V from Consignment Music. It was made by Crestline, which is a off-brand.
Is that the place on Park Ave?
Yes.
Park and Getwell?
It used to be on Park. It's in Collierville now.
Oh,
it's
they moved.
The Collierville Town Square. I think Evan Leake runs it now. Evan used to play in Target. So, and started from there, was trying to play all of Metallica songs, and was kind of in the metal thing for a minute, and just kind of gradually started getting other influences. Metallica, got into some of the alternative stuff, Stone Temple Pilots, Weezer, Green Day. And then,
because we discussed you're 3 years younger than me, so you're definitely a child of the 90s too.
Yep.
That's all the stuff I grew up on.
My heart's in the 80s though. So
Yeah. Memphis as a whole, I think, is pretty much the Memphis heart is in the 80s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what was because I too started with Metallica, and still to this day my favorite band. What was some of the best songs you like to play, or do you have a favorite album?
Probably my favorite Metallica album is Master of Puppets.
Well,
that's a great one.
That is a great one.
The Black Album is a great one too. I know some hardcore Metallica fans are like, "Oh, that sucks,"
No, I loved it.
I thought it was great, and I thought Bob Rock took them in a good direction for them to get more widespread across the nation as far as getting popular.
And also, honestly, that was the porthole that I was brought into. When that
Me too.
Yeah. Then I go retro. I was like, oh wow, I've been missing all of this.
I had their first 5 albums on cassette. Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice, and then the Black Album. Had them all on cassette.
Now, I'm going to show my ignorance for a second because you said Bob Rock, and I've always wondered this. Is that the same Bob Rock that played drums for Nelson?
No.
Okay.
No.
Sorry if that's a stupid question, but I've always heard those names, and I think that guy's name was Bob Rock, and he played drums.
He produced Dr. Feelgood,
Okay.
Motley Crue. I mean, he just brought a big sound.
I want to say he did something with Loverboy too.
Yes, he did.
Because he's from Canada.
Yes, he did.
So yeah.
But
and the Cult, Sonic Temple. I think he helped with that.
I mean,
also.
he's touched so many different things. He's massive.
Awesome.
You know what sets Master of Puppets for me biasly is Cliff Burton.
Yeah,
and this. I mean, all 3 albums, he's all over the place with iconic lines and moods. But man, Master of Puppets, Orion, just by itself, you know, it's So if anyone is listening and not too familiar with Metallica, Master of Puppets, check out Orion. You hear an awesome bass solo. It's an instrumental.
Or if you are familiar with them and it's Black Album and beyond, go back a little bit. It's a little different.
I'm actually going to see them on this new tour coming up.
Ooh.
I'm going to St. Louis and taking my daughter.
Awesome.
And we got some killer seats, and what they're doing is really cool. It's 2 shows. It's a 2-day ticket. It's Friday, Sunday. It's actually, considering you're getting 2 shows, pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, between that and hotels,
sure.
There's 4 figures going on here for this thing. But go ahead, John.
Here's an interesting thing. Right now, Kirk Hammett, the guitar player, he's in possession of probably the most popular Gibson Les Paul on the planet.
Greenie. Yep.
Dude, that is some serious. I'd be curious to know how much he paid for that, because that's like an iconic Les Paul.
And it's changed hands. Like, has kind of just since Peter Green died, it's kind of just changed ownership, right?
After Peter Green, Gary Moore had it, and then I guess I don't know I don't know if he sold it or what, but it ended up with someone else, and Kirk Hammett ended up buying it. So.
Peter Green was the original guitar player for Fleetwood Mac, and then he had his own career, right?
Yeah, and Gibson just made a replica of Greenie in its current condition. If you have $50,000 laying around, you can buy one.
Wow,
nice.
And I know I'm sure we don't really get deep in tech, but I do have a question about that guitar.
I'm listening,
and I'm sure a lot of people would be interested, because I saw actually Bob Rock has this Icon documentary deal on YouTube, and where he sits down and he just talks about his career. He brings that guitar up, and apparently the neck pickup is in backwards.
Yes.
And that phases it or unphases it, or what is it that pickup makes that guitar so unique?
So what they did was, it was actually an accident, I believe. So what they did was they installed the magnets. They turned the magnet 180 degrees, and so if you look at the guitar itself, the pickup is upside down, and it gives, in the middle position mainly, it gives this really out of phase sound. It's really interesting, but it's basically the way that's achieved is you reverse the magnet in the pickup itself. You turn it 180 degrees, and that's how you get the Peter Green.
And no one wanted to, air quote, fix it.
Sure.
Because technically it's put together. Whoever tweaked it and fixed it did it wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then they're like, this is sound awesome.
When it works, leave it alone.
Yeah. And then it's become this iconic deal.
That's brand new information to me. I don't nerd out much on guitar.
And Kirk talks about it all the time, and he doesn't leave his side.
He plays it live, which is awesome. He's keeping the tradition going.
Yeah. It's great. You know, and I'm going to get to see it November something next year.
That's awesome,
in St. Louis. It's going to be great.
Charlie Hoon, who used to be in Foghat, he actually played Greenie when he played with Gary.
Okay.
And I'm like, dude, you're killing me right now.
So what do you think that's worth, that guitar?
Oh, dude, I have no idea. It'd have to be in the millions, I'm sure.
Ooh, wow.
I mean, that would be my guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only the most popular Les Paul on the planet, you know.
And I know there's a lot of Metallica haters out there and Kirk Hammett haters and everything. I bet there's a group of people that's like, why does Kirk have it?
Right.
I think it's amazing. I'm a big fan. I'm biased, but
hey, listen, if I had the money Kirk Hammett did, I'd have it too.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I think Kirk gets a lot of flack for using the wah a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you know, it's his thing. You know?
Metallica is. I'm a huge Lars Ulrich defender.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of their sound.
Sure.
You know, the 4 of them. Well, the bass players have changed too, but
right.
He has his moments like we all do. I mean, but you know, when he's in the pocket, you know, he can hold his own.
And when you hear him live, You know, it's just a part of it's energy.
I
There's energy about them.
I would have never seen them live if not for you inviting me to go. We went to Nashville.
2016.
Yeah.
Saw the last tour.
Great show. I loved it.
That single they just released is really good too. Oh,
it's
kind of has a Hit the Lights vibe to it.
Yes. And I'll drop the Metallica thing here in a minute because I could talk forever. But what's also great about this new tour coming up is they're in the round in the stadiums. Anyone that's been keeping up with Metallica, the stadium shows have this killer stage and with big screens and this catwalk that goes out and there's a pit in the middle where people can stand, and then they play in the round in the arenas. Well, they're doing the round in the stadiums this year, or
That's really cool.
next 2 years. So,
well, you gave me a good segue. I'm going to take that for a second because we're talking guitar tone.
All right.
And one of our topics that we wanted to talk to Josh about when we went to see Area 51, we noticed your tones on your guitar parts were so identical or as close to identical as you can get to the recordings that you're used to listening to. And they seems to me that the tones changed with the song. Like, I don't know what you're doing with that board down there, so maybe you can give us some insight on how you do that. Because if you go from Peter Gabriel to Starship to Styx, your tones seem to change and match what we're so used to listening to, which is amazing.
Well, what's interesting about that is as far as the patches that I use, now, I guess it should be said that the last 6 years I've used the Line 6 Helix. My buddy Richie Castellano, who plays in Blue Oyster Cult, turned me on to that.
Okay.
And, our story of how we met's a whole different story on its own, but he turned me on to it, and I was one of these guitar guys that was like, I'll never go digital. But I got to be honest, man, it's come a long way.
It works.
And while, I do like the sound of a tube amp, I mean, it gets pretty close. I mean,
you're playing like a PA speaker back there, right?
Well, just so I can have the feel of an amp hitting me from behind, I do have a little speaker behind me just so I can have that feel. But what's nice is that since I'm going direct from my pedal board to the PA system, if I need to hear myself more, I can just turn the speaker up, and it won't affect what's coming out of the main speakers that the people hear. But I only use 3 patches. That's it. So I have a clean patch, which it can be either a chorusy type, Floydy type thing. I have my slightly overdriven patch, which I basically model the rig I used to use live when you saw me in the lineup.
Right.
It was it's modeling a PRS Archon, and then for the slightly overdriven patch, I just have a Boss Super Overdrive in front of it. Now, for the main heavy patch, it's just the PRS Archon on the lead channel. They call it the Archetype in the Line 6.
Okay.
And that's my main heavy / lead tone that I use. And, I mean, they've got a bazillion amp models in there, but I'm just like, that's my thing. So
with all the songs that you play, all the different eras, and you're only using 3 sounds?
Yep.
That's
it.
I would have assumed you had 12 patches going on.
Minimum.
Man, to be honest with you, some guitar players like to have a sound per song, like, I'm going to use this amp on this song and this on that. Me personally, since even though we're covering this stuff, I do like to have my stamp on it somewhat.
Yeah.
So it's just 3 patches.
Well, it's okay to embellish here, Josh. Nobody's going to know the difference. You can say you're using 12 if you want to.
No, I'm really not. It's just 3.
No, it sounds amazing, man. Yeah. The whole band sounds amazing. Derek and I, we went to see you guys, and I've seen you play in several bands and Pete in several bands, and it just took me a while to get out to see Area 51. And when I did, I was like, why did I wait so long?
It's a fun band. They help me sound good.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you guys all compliment one another for sure.
I always have to talk about Lance too.
Yep.
Tigger.
That's what I said with Pete. Yeah. When Pete was in here, I was like, he's Tigger on bass, man. He's all over the place.
Yeah, y'all have christened him Tigger.
Yeah, take the meth pipe away from that guy. He's got too much energy.
Well, it's funny. It's kind of interesting how he came into the fold, because you might know, you might not know, Randy Byram was actually our original bass player. Yep. Unfortunately, he passed away this year. Rest in peace, Randy.
Right.
he had some things going. I think he got a new job that took up a lot of his time, and he said, he wanted to part ways there. And so we started auditioning bass players. We had 4 guys try out. And, earlier we were talking about how Mike Mangini got the job in Dream Theater.
Right.
I call Lance the Mike Mangini of bass players because he was the first guy to try out, and he absolutely killed the audition.
Mm-hmm.
And he sang, he played bass, and we had some other guys try out, that were great bass players too. I think Eric Westby was one, John Langan was another. But as far as it wasn't, that their abilities were lacking or anything like that. It's just that with Lance, it felt right.
Yeah.
And I made sure to let those guys know, you guys are great, but we felt that, we found our guy with Lance.
I appreciate the call too, Josh. I wasn't available. Sorry.
I don't think we knew each other then, man.
No. No, but yeah, you can tell too when you watch the 4 of you really click up there, and it sounds great.
Yeah.
Now, another band that you're in that I haven't seen, honestly, I'll admit, I haven't seen a lot of bands, but 6 Feet Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a powerhouse, like super group.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting how that band came forth because it was born out of COVID. So that's why you get 6 feet. And it was Sean's idea to call it 6 Feet Thunder. Well, at first he said 6 Feet Thunders, but I think his wife was like, that sounds horrible. So we just went with 6 Feet Thunder. And a lot of people think we're saying 6 feet under. I'm like, no, it's not 6 feet under. I don't want to be there.
Everybody's above ground.
Yeah, too soon.
Yeah.
But we did when COVID was happening. Gigs were pretty scarce, and so Sean called me up and asked if we could do a trio, me, him, and this drummer named Jacob Turner, who plays in Formerly Known As.
Yep. He's coming in here.
A lot of, I can honestly say this, Jacob, not to give too much of a segue, but he's only like 20 years old, but he plays like a seasoned player.
He's phenomenal.
The kid is just amazing. So shout out to you, Jacob. But anyway, so we did a set of tunes. We did like Girl Can't Help It. We did that Loverboy tune, Hot Girls in Love, and all that stuff. It was fun. It was just kind of a way to give people some entertainment since we couldn't play out live. And so it kind of got born out of that. And then in August of 2020, Pulse was supposed to do a gig at Neil's, but our drummer, I believe, got COVID. So we couldn't do it. So I called the guys. I called Sean. I was like, hey, you want to do a 6 feet gig? And he's like, sure. And so
that's Sean Few.
Yeah, right? Sean Few. Yeah, women's jeans. That's an inside joke.
All right, we're gonna have to unravel that inside joke.
You can talk to him about that when you interview him.
Don't we need to talk about lotion today too?
Oh, we'll get there.
All right, cool.
All right, so it was me, Sean, and Jimmy Fulp, and so Jimmy came into the mix too, and then Mark Holt just happened to be in town, and so we got him up there, and then from there, we did this gig, and there was a huge amount of people there. I mean, I couldn't believe the turnout. And Scott Sudbury was there. He got up and sang with us. And
so he wasn't in the band for that?
He wasn't in the band then, but then Sean had the idea to get him in after that gig because it was just so awesome.
It's a good idea.
And
kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, so we got Scott in, and that's pretty much that.
So that's 6 Feet Thunders is... Give us all the rundown of the names so that everybody can hear them.
The members?
Yep. The
okay,
members.
So myself, Sean Few, Jimmy Fulp, Scott Sudbury, and Mark Holt.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So what happened to Jacob, the drummer?
Right? I think I don't really know as far as how that happened. I think Sean, because he and Jimmy have a big history together. They were in bands together over the years. I think he really wanted to use Jimmy for that, and And I mean, it's not, as far as Jacob goes, I mean, he's got the Formerly Known As gig as well. So, but in all fairness, too, when Jimmy can't do a gig, Jacob is who we usually get to fill in.
Absolutely.
We went out to Neil's check out Formerly Known As. Jimmy Phelps was filling in.
because Jacob was sick with the flu.
But it was great. That gave me a chance to meet the guys.
Oh, yeah.
And come to find out, Jimmy lives here in Hernando, so we need to have coffee.
I've been to his house, did some sessions there.
Nice. I've been telling him on Facebook I want a tour, so we'll get a tour of the studio soon.
And formerly has two great guitar players as well, Seth Kirkendall and Julian Wong.
I tell you what, man,
two guys are amazing.
They were good. Up. They did such a fantastic job at that gig, and that was my first time seeing those two guitar players.
And they went from playing all the dance stuff and good rock and everything, and then they went into blues, more of even like a traditional kind of solo trade-off type of deal. Crushed it. Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
They're definitely not genre specific. Yeah, they do it all,
and it's easy to assume because they look younger. At least I don't know what their real ages are, but you wouldn't think they could pull out some really slick blues.
Right. I think Julian's. I think he's about 3 years younger than me, and Seth is. I think he's only like 27. He's still a baby, you know. But he, formerly known as is the first band he's ever been in, and
really,
that guy is just
he's killing it
out of nowhere. Has just gotten so. He was great when he started, but he has just come so far. It's really awesome.
Yeah,
and I need to add, and you're in this boat. Like, there's such a great amount of singers in Memphis. Dude,
yeah, you do sing very well.
Yeah, man,
you kill it.
But I think that's what really makes all these bands great.
Well, sure,
is you have the vocals that can handle the set list. Y'all, break out.
Yeah,
and then the musicianship is right behind it. It's really good.
Well, let's talk about another band that you're in that I have not yet seen.
Okay.
Somebody hit me with something, but the Pulse.
Yeah, it's a tribute to
Pink Floyd. So tell us something about that, and we will definitely, the two of us together will make a show for that band.
Yeah.
That band started in let's see, we started rehearsing in '99. And then the first gig we did was at Stage Stop in July 2000.
Wow.
I was only 19 years old at the time.
Very cool.
And it's me, Mike Russell, Louis Leibovitz, Jeff Robinson, and the singers Ron Heron. It was Jeff's idea to do a Pink Floyd tribute. And we're just like, okay, we'll see what happens. We got Mike on board, and Ron came later. And that band's been around for 22 years.
Wow. And, the same core?
The same core lineup, yes.
And when did you add the ladies from Elevation Memphis? Melanie and LaShawn, yes.
And then Gina, who's our third backup singer.
Okay.
We've had a few backup singers over the years. One of them was Vanessa Sudbury. She sang for us.
Oh, okay. Is that Scott's wife?
Scott's sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law. Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah. And so she sang. We've had several, but we also had Christy Ottoman. Christy and LaShawn were kind of the main singers for a while, and then Christy went to do her own thing, and then eventually we got Melanie and Gina. Of course, Melanie and LaShawn playing Elevation, which is they're a great band as well.
Yep.
And that's been kind of the thing. We just and we touch on the hits, like Off the Wall and Off Dark Side and everything, right. But we'll occasionally, go off kilt a little bit, and we'll do like stuff off Animals, like Dogs.
Animals is one of my favorite albums.
That's my favorite Pink Floyd album.
I had a great Floyd phase where I really dug into everything.
I've never had that phase.
And, all the way down to the Syd Barrett first album, so, but Animals, man.
That's a great album.
It's such a great groovy album, too. There's some groove in there that Nick Mason makes it.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. And one thing I'll say too is, and it's kind of ironic because I play in a Pink Floyd tribute band, but when I was 13 years old and I first heard Floyd, the first thing I said was, "This band sucks." and here's the thing. At first, I thought they were some kind of like widespread panic type band, but when I saw them on MTV during the Division Bell tour, they were doing some songs off that. I'm like, okay, I might need to give these guys another shot because I totally developed a wrong impression. And so when Blockbuster was a thing, I rented the Pulse live concert on VHS.
Oh, great.
And then watching this show and I'm watching Gilmore and I'm like, he's killing these solos, but one thing, and he's my favorite guitar player, is he does not play fast.
No.
At all. He doesn't have to because his solos soar.
So he is your favorite guitar player.
Gilmore is my number one.
Well, see, yes. I would have immediately gone to Steve Lukather.
Steve. That's
what I would have thought.
Okay, so Gilmore, it would be number one.
Okay.
Alex Lifeson is my number 2 spot.
I had no idea.
And Lukather would probably be my number 3, and then Neil Sean number 4.
Gotcha.
So, but Lukather, he's just amazing guitar player, and he does things that I'm like, where is this coming from? Because he's a big Larry Carlton freak. Larry Carlton, he's played on like Steely Dan records and stuff, but Steve Lukather's no choices are just mind-boggling, and that's kind of the style I try to go for.
Yeah. So back to the Floyd thing. When you kind of go off the beaten path, do you do anything from metal like echoes?
Yes, we've done that before. We've actually done something off of. We did something off of. I think it's Piper at the Gates of Dawn. We did Astronomy Domain.
Yeah, that's Sid Barrett era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which one thing I'll say too is even though that era is important and stuff, as far as Sid Barrett's contribution to Pink Floyd, and then the later albums being kind of the subject. I don't think they would be who they are, or I don't think they would have been the same band if Gilmore had not contributed his part. Because even though he's not technically an original member, his stamp on that band is just so apparent.
Yeah,
and I think it was just meant to be for him to be, to take Sid's place
and his voice, and and when Rolling Stone and Guitar Magazine and all these every year the top 100 guitar players, top 100,
right,
and he always gets shafted.
Those lists are always subjective.
I mean, they're all bullshit, but but consistently he's overlooked.
Yeah,
I mean, he's so smooth and he does so much with little. I mean, not his abilities, but less notes. Less is more with that guy.
Exactly.
It's so colorful. Listen to the Comfortably Numb solos.
It's one of the best solos of all time. It's probably my favorite solo of all time.
Yeah, both, because he does a great one in the middle too.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, that's cool. I was going to ask you your top influences, so let's recap it. It's David Gilmour, Alex Lifeson,
Steve Lukather, Neil Sean.
Bunch of lightweights.
Yeah, just a few lightweights, And, I get one comparison I get a lot, and even though I don't think it's from a technical standpoint, because I can't play anything like this guy, but they compare my tone a lot to Sean Lane, who is
who's Sean Lane?
Sean
legendary
guitar player from Memphis. He had an album called Powers of 10, which if you listen to it, it's like I can't even do a tenth of what he does. It's just his speed and his accuracy. It's like, oh my gosh, man,
he's unreal.
But is he still around?
No, he passed away.
He had some health problems. He passed away a few years ago.
Now that I think about it, I think Jeff Cobble showed me some videos of that guy before.
Yeah, and another guy that we've got scheduled to come in, Dave Flexer. He's a big Sean Lane fan, and they may have had more of a connection than I realized.
Dave Flexer used to work at Strings and Things.
He sure did.
I saw him in there playing a Wolfgang.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
I do have to compliment your shirt.
Stranger Things. Well, it's the season, man. Christmas season.
It's me and my daughter's connector there.
Okay.
We love Stranger Things.
Well, I was fully expecting
a
Boba Fett shirt or something along those lines.
I got Boba Fett on my arm, tattooed on my arm.
I've seen that.
So, I got the Rush here. I got the Ghostbusters there, and then I got Star Wars on the
Ghostbusters, one of my favorite movies. I've watched it 1,000 times growing up with that movie, and it's still. I mean, when you see the special effects, it's definitely a little dated, but the acting and the story never gets old.
I mean, you can say the effects are dated, but when now I never saw the Ghostbusters with the female cast.
Me either.
But to be honest with you, I didn't really feel like I had to, because it's we already got this great movie from from the 80s.
Did you watch the latest one?
Yes,
I
loved it. Man.
I did not see
great
it yet.
Easter eggs.
I will have to check it out.
The way they connected it. Yeah. It was so well done. And then I don't want to give it away, but how they end it.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
It was great, dude. I got to meet Ernie Hudson a few years ago at the Arkansas Comic Con.
What was he there for? The Ghostbusters, or?
Well, he was at these Comic Con type events. They have celebrity guests like give autographs and pictures and stuff, and he was one of the guests there. And super nice guy. And dude, the dude was built like a tank, man. I thought he was gonna break my arm when I shook his hand.
And he's up there. These guys are in their 60s by now, right?
Ernie's in his 70s now.
Oh wow,
yeah, but in ridiculous shape, dude. It's like, geez, man.
Well, another topic that I have to touch on, and this has got nothing to do with music. This is just something that has been hilarious. And for those watching and listening, if you're not a part of the Memphis music scene, you're not going to really know what this is. But Davey Smith and you have a pretty interesting back and forth on Facebook about a moisturizing regimen.
Yeah.
And I've got to know how that started, where it came from. I know there's now Josh Haynes lotion out there. And how did this shit get started?
Okay, well, this goes back to the lineup days.
Okay.
Which is the precursor to Area 51,
Right.
correct?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So back in that day, Jack Holder was the original guitar player for the lineup.
Right.
Who, rest in peace, amazing musician. But he had something happen to him as far as he was driving, and I think he had a stroke or something, and he couldn't do some gigs, and they initially called me to fill in, but it was my wife's birthday, so I couldn't do that. I was like, so they got Steve Engel to fill in for that, but I filled in for the next one. And David Kurtz, who is the leader of that band, he's like, man, I really, really like this lineup, so to speak. And I kind of inadvertently became the guitar player after, because Jack never came back, and sadly he passed away not too long after. But as far as the moisturizer thing, there used to be this thing on Facebook called bit strips.
Okay.
And Dave Smith would make, bit strips like I actually made one where he's a fish jumping out of water and David Kurtz is in a boat, and Dave's like, hey, I need some Vaseline for my fins. And then Dave is like, I don't have Vaseline, but I got some moisturizer. And so this moisturizer thing just started.
How long ago was this?
This was 7 years ago.
So this lotion
it has taken on a life of its own now.
Yeah.
You brought it up on our page, the Rhythm Section Pod. Check it out.
Yep.
And then you and Davey jumped in, and it just
went crazy.
A huge thread.
Well, the lineup went from being kind of a real serious type thing to all of a sudden it be with me and Dave's humor, we kind of added an element of comedy to it,
which
I
is
guess.
Great.
So
I mean, you can't take yourself too seriously,
and I don't. I mean, even though people see me for playing and stuff, but I don't.
Sure.
I really don't.
No, I get it. It's just been the back and forth between you and Davey on Facebook is hilarious.
Oh yeah, I mean,
sometimes I insert myself in there.
It's nonstop, man. He told me the other day when we played with Rob Caldy, he was like, Josh, what would Facebook be like without us?
Yeah.
On it?
Well, speaking of Facebook, back and forths, this makes me think of the wrestling deal that went down this summer at Hadley's. So,
yeah,
I don't know the two gentlemen personally. It was, who were the two wrestlers? The main event,
Bob Boscia
and Charlie Belt.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sort of following it, and then out of nowhere, I see you commenting. Along with today, I'm awful with names. I'm trying to remember names. Who's the guitar player that was sitting next to you? He also plays drums.
Oh, Zach Horvath.
Zach,
yeah,
thank you. Jeez. So I'm a old school fan. Like growing up, 45 years old. It was the peak Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior.
Right.
Oddly, my favorite wrestler is Brutus the Barber Beefcake, which is hilarious now because it's just like so hack and gimmicky. But then I slip away from it. To this day, I don't watch it. I didn't watch during the Rock and Steve Austin era. But as I got older, I wanted to go retro and learn the history of wrestling again, because now it's so wide open. Kayfabe is gone.
Yeah.
What that means is like they try to keep it a secret. So I just watch every documentary I can and become a huge Jim Cornette fan. So when I see this ring next to Hadley's, I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So like, how did that come about? Do you know how that whole thing started?
Well, basically, you know, Charlie and Bob are obviously friends, you know, and they,
No.
yeah, no, I know,
Kayfabe.
right? Yeah, kayfabe.
Secret's out.
And they just wanted to do this thing where they, insulted each other, and of course I got in the middle of it just because
Because you can.
I like to instigate things. So one day I showed up to a basket case show wearing a Twin Soul shirt.
Oh,
and, you know, Bob's like, you're on enemy territory, you know, and all this stuff. And then, you know, they would fabricate these situations. Like Bob showed up to Charlie's girlfriend's place of business, trying to convert them to basket case babes. And then me and Charlie came up with this idea where Bob put Fireball in Charlie's gas tank of his car. And, you know, and what's crazy is the line that got the most attention was my "oh dear" line, and you know, it's probably the stupidest thing on the video, but for some reason people lost their minds on it.
While you were commentating?
Well, this was one of the videos, kind of advertising
Gotcha.
the
storyline,
the actual event. So, but Bob had asked me and Dave Smith to
Get some lotion.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it was a opportunity to advertise. So yeah, so he asked me and Dave to be wrestling announcers along with Zach, and I'm going to be honest with you. Even though, you know, I watched some of the wrestling stuff, I wasn't into it like, you know, like Jimmy Fulp and Sean Few, they're all about it, but. Me and Dave were just like, we were talking to each other. It's like, you know, we've done a lot of things together, but we've never been wrestling announcers before. We had no script. We didn't know what we were doing, but Zach kind of led the charge a little bit. You know, I had to, you know, announce the wrestlers and make sure their music played and everything.
Yeah.
And we did, you know, as we were going along, you know, we would just say things, like, you know, Bob likes to choke things. Or, yeah, we got the two toothpicks playing, you know, wrestling in the ring. And then this one guy, Dwayne Red, came up, and he was trying to start some stuff with, I mean, you know what I mean? And, you know, Zach made some mention that he ate like 1,000 cinnamon rolls before entering the ring. And he was trying to start something with me. I'm like, he's like, was your mom a caution cone? Because I was wearing an orange jacket, and
yeah, your outfit was pretty priceless.
Compliments of Dave's wife, Delia.
Okay.
And I was like, no, but I didn't eat 1,000 cinnamon rolls this morning.
Well, I'm going to ask Steve Owens while we're here. I want to get Steve to design and make us a Basket Soul T-shirt.
A basket soul.
Yeah.
I was trying to get. I'm
he
trying
has
to get
been
somebody
commissioned.
There you go. Yeah, combined Twin Soul and Basket Case.
So where does one find a wrestling ring? Like, where did?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Don't go to Walmart. And go to wrestling.
I think the group that I think it's Crossroads Wrestling here in Mississippi. I forget where they're from, but they actually brought the ring to Hadley's and set it up.
Wow,
that's cool.
And yeah, I mean,
how many matches was it?
Let's see. I want to say there were maybe 6 or 7. I think.
And you guys streamed it live, didn't you?
Yeah, there were several people that had their phones and they went live on their their Facebooks and stuff. And one of my favorite lines that Zach said was when Charlie was on the ground, Charlie's trying to twerk his way out.
That's pretty good.
Was your commentating going through a PA for the audience?
Yeah, it was going through. We had a big PA behind us, and we were just,
And I know you had Andy McCullough there, and he approved
Lone Wolf McCullough. Yeah,
he approved of the Josh Haynes.
And he's into wrestling, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He definitely is, and he's also a client of Josh Haynes.
Good to know.
And I should mention too that Tracy from the Fast Mothers, he's a client as well because he tried it that day as well.
Josh Haynes.
Did not know this.
Yeah.
We got Tracy coming in.
Tracy and Chris
in
are
February.
Yeah,
So
we'll have to
we'll
talk
have
to them.
Make note.
We need the bottle here.
Yeah, I think Dave said it was in Florida.
Yeah, we can introduce more people to it.
Well, while we're talking to Steve Owens, hey, make a T-shirt.
Yeah,
Josh Haynes.
Josh Haynes. There we
Well,
go.
on the backs of our jackets, we had the unintentional product that Sean Few named "Skinny New Cologne" by Josh Haynes. So it's got Bob and Rob on the front of it. It's just this little bottle with them on it, and we just called it "Skinny New."
It's great. Everyone's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Everyone's friends. It's great.
Yeah, we don't take each other serious. We don't take ourselves seriously at all.
No.
Well, to kind of change tracks here, I was wondering and interested, have you ever dabbled in original music?
Yeah.
Do you write?
I consider myself more of a co-writer. I kind of like the production co-writer thing a little bit. I was me and my cousin Carrie. We had a band called The Originals. Yeah, no, it's the original name. It's a Spinal Tap reference. I'm sorry, but we had a band called The Originals, and one thing interesting is two of the members that were in that band, Jimmy Bass and Adam Braddock, later left to join Mudflap King.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So,
What year was that?
that would have been 2004 or 5, I think.
That's right. I didn't start playing with them until 11.
Yeah. So
I didn't realize, man, those guys, it's been around a while.
Yeah, they have. Then we did the original thing. We in 2008 we were playing a gig at the Old Neil's when it was on Madison, and this guy from New York came out to check us out and wanted to try to get us a record deal. So he put us all in the gym. We lost weight and stuff, and he had this idea that he wanted me to be like a Stevie Ray Vaughan type. He wanted to have that look for me. And looking back now, I'm like, it's not, it didn't really work for me.
Did you have long hair back then?
Oh, no. It was just, like a fedora hat, wearing a, wearing, a blazer and all that stuff. And, and we actually recorded an EP at Ardent. Pete Matthews produced it,
Okay.
So there's actually a YouTube video. I'm only in it for like a few seconds, but it was, it's under my cousin's name, Kerry Haynes, who he currently plays in 51 Stones. It's called Better Than You, and I did the guitars on that.
Okay.
And,
but this band that you had with your cousin, right?
Yeah.
What was the style of music? I mean, if he's trying to push you towards Stevie Ray Vaughan, was it like
it was kind of an Americana type thing, Pete, one of the bands that Pete Matthews mentioned was the Raconteurs.
Yep.
That was kind of what he was trying to push for. And like I said, the look they were trying to give me at the time, looking back on it now, and the way I kind of look now, it's like it just wouldn't have worked.
Is that how it just fizzled out? Something that just kind of...
Well, what's interesting is the guy that was trying to manage us, he was in the music video Free Fallin' by Tom Petty during the lyrics of And the Vampires. He's that Robert Smith looking guy.
Okay.
I think he had some good ideas, but he didn't really have much, if any, experience in the music industry as far as trying to get record deals and stuff like that. It was really kind of his first attempt.
Yeah.
And nice sometimes, but overall, I wasn't really crazy about him as a person. He could use some people skills, I think.
Yeah, and it always comes down to that too.
Yeah.
Who can you work with, personality wise? Mm-hmm. If that doesn't jive, man, then they better be bringing the goods.
Yeah.
Early
on, one of the things Corey Myers said something to me years ago. We were just talking about the music industry and playing live, and it was when I was wanting to start doing it. And he said, "Always remember, it's about the hang."
Mm-hmm.
And that was just that always stuck with me when he made that comment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worked very well this summer because 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 of us have been on a bus for days at a time, and it's just chill and enjoy the time.
Back in my casino years, I had to go on the road for 6 weeks with a drummer that none of us ended up liking.
Yeah, It wasn't me.
No, he was personality, also playing. He changed after our audition / rehearsal. Like, where'd this guy like come from?
Yeah,
this is not the same person,
right?
And it's a nightmare. You're like, we're stuck with this for 6 weeks. Oh my god,
yeah.
You know,
that's brutal.
It is, you know. But what I've always found though, that's kind of an outlier.
Yeah,
you know, for the most part, musicians get it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be cool. Let's be chill. Yeah, let's talk about vaccines and abortions, you know, non-political stuff.
Yeah, non-political.
Try and solve the world's problems.
Yeah.
So, of your 3 bands, which one is the busiest? Is it Area 51?
Yeah, Area 51 is the one that plays the most.
And there are more, in all seriousness, you're in more than 3. I think we've probably missed a couple. Aren't you in other bands?
You just did a thing with Elevation, right? You did this video with Elevation Memphis.
Their original guitar player moved back to Maryland, so they just asked me to, you know, kind of fill that gap there. Okay. And, you know, there's always a running joke, Josh plays in like 27 bands, you know, but
not that many.
But the truth is, it's like, you know, one thing I've learned being a Memphis musician is, you know, your reputation goes a long way.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, if, you know, there comes a situation where, you know, someone needs me to fill in, I'll certainly do the best I can, you know, you know, and you know, be available. But, you know, I was, you know, running a joke or whatever, saying, you know, maybe I should have a shirt with all the bands I've played in, you know, here in Memphis, you know, because it would probably take up the entire
thing. Down the sleeves.
Well, the fact that so many people want you to be in a band, I think, speaks volumes. We contacted you before this last run.
I remember, yeah,
and you were just too busy, and I get it. But yeah, I mean, getting those phone calls, there's a reason you get them, and that's because you're a damn good guitar player, and you're just
thank you.
You do a fantastic job.
Jeff's one of my favorites as well, Jeff Cobble.
Yeah,
and yeah, he reached out to me, and so did you. So that was.
If you're looking for personality too, he's got it in spades. I love Cobble too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
So where can we? Oh my God,
that's the wrong
sound. I'm gonna have to add that song in post. I forgot to change that. But where can, like, Area 51 Memphis is your website and Facebook?
Yeah, that's our Facebook, Area 51 Memphis, facebook.com/Area 51 Memphis. I think 6 Feet Thunder Memphis, I believe, on Facebook. And, you know, Pulse Does Floyd, facebook.com/Pulse Does Floyd. And then you can just find me, Josh Haynes, on Facebook. I usually post all my gigs on my page as well.
Cool.
And maybe some humorous stuff here or there that involve Dave Smith. And trying to make sure the world is moisturized.
I think at some point, odds are we're going to have you and Dave in here at the same time and see what kind of hilarity.
Care for what you wish for there, Jeff.
No, we're going to do that.
Well, yeah, like I've always said, this is not a one and done kind of podcast. Like, we want the cast of characters to come back. So yeah, we want to pair up people.
For sure.
Once we, you know, we're at a point now where we can add a second guest, and then that would be fun.
Yep.
You know, let's the next time Bobby and Charlie want to start another wrestling angle.
Yeah.
I want to be incorporated. I want to be the Mean Gene Oakland up in here. Right.
You know?
And he does prefer Bob. I will say that he prefers to be called Bob.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Sure. Well, look, Jeff, where can people find this podcast?
Yeah, we are on Facebook. We are on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all the other major podcasts, Stitcher. We're everywhere. And please follow us, like us, or don't. But we love everybody.
You can't help yourself.
Yeah.
Also, if you're interested in starting a podcast, go to shelbyroproductions.com, sign up a free consultation with me. And as always, Patreon.
Yep.
Go to our Patreon link in our description. We have one tier. It's called the tip jar. It's $1 a month. If you can afford $1 a month, that would go a long way for us. Yeah. And Josh, thank you so much for being here, man.
Absolutely.
That was great to talk to you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And you'll be back on at some point for sure.
Looking forward to that.
All right, that's Jeff.
That's Derek.
Y'all have a great day.
That's Josh.